You guys can look at my weird thumbnail for the before I change it. I go back and I pick like another thumbnail and put it in there. But I'm wearing my cool bathrobe, so I was meditating and husaing, right? So I don't be angry. I don't know. That was the idea anyway. I'm just gonna take the God pill and wear Tibetan robes now from now on when I do my mindset stuff. No, I'm not gonna do that. I just it's actually cold in my house today. So if you're familiar with Michigan weather, it was like super nice over the weekend, and then all of a sudden temps dropped. It's raining. So I didn't notice it until I was really about 5 minutes ago. I'm like, it's like 58 degrees in here. So I just kicked my heater on, threw a robe on. That's what we're doing. Anyway, we're going to talk about road rage today. How's everybody doing? If you got any questions, put them in the chat. I can answer them for you. All of these live shows are also a Q&A, so it gives you an opportunity to interact with me, get things answered on anything about sexual dynamics or mindset stuff or mental fitness and all that sort of thing. So, yep, thank you. Hi, guys. Good to catch you live. If you're watching after this is aired, there's a chat going on that's live, and so I respond to people in the chat, so that's what that is. But we're going to talk about anger, rage, road rage. My friend and client Jerry had said, "Hey, man, this would be a good topic," and I agreed. So I think we'll cover it. In fact, we'll just jump right into it, and then from there, answer questions about the topic or anything you guys want to ask. Right. So, anyways, getting into it, road rage. Right. Some people are just angry drivers. I get pissed off every time somebody's behaving a way that you don't like on the road. Road rage is a great way to ruin your own day. Yes, sir, you are correct. And so you're literally letting the outside world and behaviors of other people put you in a mind state that's unproductive and not conducive of adaptation or improving or making changes or really achieving anything. So when you get in an angry state, and we're going to talk a little bit about anger, but let's talk about the state of it for a minute. When you get in an angry state, your brain elevates into a high beta state. So your brain waves they're going like this, okay? Whenever you're high anxiety, whenever you're really upset, whenever you're angry, boom, it spikes and it hangs out there, all right? And so you get in that state. Here's the thing about that state. You can react and respond to the outside environment, but you really cannot adapt, right? You can't learn while in that state. It's just not conducive. Your brain is not in a state that is conducive of learning or adaptation. So when you're in a high beta state, brainwave wise, all right, what ends up happening is you're responding. Now, this can be very useful in tribal times where you hear a rustle in the woods and then you book it to your camp because you don't want to get eaten by wolves or something, right? That makes sense then, all right? You're not in a state of trying to be curious and learn and adapt and whatever. You're just reacting, and you may be reacting in a very, fearful and, right, we could say emotionally distressing way. But that's okay. That works in survival times, right? Well, the problem is, though, in modern times, because of a lot of our pressures and technologies and things like that, we're constantly distracted, which puts our brains in a higher state to begin with. I don't mean a higher as an elevated, but a higher stress state to begin with. Our bodies are generally operating and our brains are operating in a mid to high level stress sometimes all day long. It's very destructive because we're actually not genetically wired or designed to do that. In other words, our ancestors were mostly in a low distress state, except for those survival encounters or encounters where they had to use their, capabilities to survive or whatever, or fight or flight, right? And so they'd be in a mostly low stress state, and then boom, they'd have these spikes throughout the day and throughout the week of high stress encounters, but then that they would level back off into more of a lower state. I mean, think about it. They didn't even have music going on in the background throughout the day. They weren't driving in a vehicle. They weren't, I mean, so you imagine just being in the woods all day or something and listening to the birds chirp. That's what most of their days like. And with whatever type of things or work they're doing, which is right, pretty low on the stimulation side of it, and low stimulation means also low stress. And so it's this constant state of stress that we put ourselves in that makes us react and spike so readily, and so that's why meditation work and state management work and things that I do with guys in sessions when they do consults with me, and then they have homework to do on their own. All those things are designed to de-stress and bring down that everyday level of stress. So you bring your everyday, level of stress down by taking those breaks and those moments to take those brain waves that are up here and bring them down while you're awake and alert, not just sleeping, okay, like taking a nap, but your mind is awake and alert, but we're going to bring down all that stimulation, right? And also not overstimulating yourself. This is why I always recommend turning off those notifications on your phones, okay? Don't be glued to your social media, your email, whatever, and try to stay task oriented on the tasks that you're doing at hand. If you're doing something like driving, you can do passive stimulation, like an audiobook, for example, but certainly you're not texting and driving, you know what I mean? And doing some active stimulation while you're also doing the active stimulation of driving. Those types of multitasking activities put your brain in an elevated distressed state, and then that makes you more likely to jump into a stress response. And this is why people have things like road rage over absolutely nothing, and are willing to kill each other, get into fights even on the road, or put themselves at risk or others at risk over absolute bullshit, like nothing, right? They're already in a distressed state. Now, let's talk about the emotion of anger in general, though. What is that? Well, that is happening because of a couple reasons. All right. One is there's justifiable anger. Justifiable is when there's a perceived injustice. All right. So when you perceive that there's an injustice, someone is doing something that they shouldn't be getting away with or doing, okay, that leads to anger. Right, that causes an angry response. Frustration is when someone behaves like when you're frustrated with somebody, it's a little different than anger. That's usually happening because they are not behaving within your standard. All right, so when somebody is late all the time and you're a person who's always early, okay, you might have frustrations with that person because their habitual lateness isn't your standard, and you think that your standard is better, and you may be right in that too, depending on the circumstance. And so this person is breaking a standard that you have for yourself. They're not adhering to the same standard, so that can be frustrating. But where it turns to anger is where you perceive an injustice. So this is where, let's say this person shows up really late and wastes a lot of your time and causes you to lose money because of it, or causes you to take a loss because of it. And then that person acts like they have no consequence, or really doesn't have a consequence. Okay. Or that person acts like, well, I was busy and sorry I didn't call, like it's no big deal. Right. Now that's an injustice. Now that lack of being in the same standard as yours turns into an injustice, where this person actually did something that harmed you, and they may potentially get away with that. And so that's what that injustice is, what can cause the anger. And that's when the anger really is justifiable. If there is an injustice, anger is justifiable. So this idea that anger is never justified, I think, is untrue. Okay. When there's injustice, anger, and healthy anger, and responding to that anger in a healthy way is what allows you to set boundaries, standards, or prevent from other injustices from occurring. Okay. This is like, think about law enforcement for ending crimes. Okay. Think about stopping terrorists overseas, stuff like that. I mean, although you don't have to be angry to do that, but in principle, you're trying to solve injustices. All right. and that can be a good thing. But when it's just responding angrily, though, and your actions are not going to solve any of the injustices, it's just going to make your day go worse. Well, or put you in danger potentially. Well, then that's no longer productive, right? It's no longer a good way to respond to that anger. Now, another thing about anger is anger can just be a cover, meaning you're actually covering for other emotions. All right. So this is when anger really isn't justified. You're just using it because it's an acceptable means of expressing your emotions. All right. So it's acceptable for me to get angry versus upset, or it's acceptable, for me to, to respond with this in this manner. This is more masculine, maybe, of a response than, I don't know, crying or showing fear or some of these other potential responses. Anger can be a cover for fear, for example. You know what I mean? So somebody acts like they're angry and they're combative, like they want to fight you, but really they're fearful of losing a bunch of things, whether it's just losing respect from others, which translates to, possibly getting harmed physically, right? Because there's no respect or fear of them, things of that nature. Okay. And so, yeah. So no, sorry, question here. No super chat, dude, because I got just sent in my stuff to get monetized. It takes to YouTube a few months. I've been able to be monetized for a long time. My click-through rates are really high. My watch time is really high. Even besides the watch, the number of times people watch me or whatever, number of clicks, my likes are really high. Like, there's a number of reasons why YouTube's algorithms should be more friendly to me, but they're not. They're not, because I don't fulfill a narrative that they're trying to push. So I'm not a feminist, for example, and they don't like that. Some of the things I say in some of my other videos are a little less woke, so algorithms don't push me. You guys have to support me with your likes and shares and stuff like that. That's the only way that we can project this kind of content forward in favor of other content out there that's garbage, right? And that's, promoting that narrative, right? That's been so destructive for society. But yeah, so anyway, no super chats, just ask the question. I'll find it in the chat and hopefully not miss you, and then try to answer it. All right. So there's a little bit of a dive or like monologue on anger, right? So what do you do about it though? You're driving around. Well, first of all, if you can lower your elevated level of distress in general, then you won't respond to things in a frustrated or angry manner, or at least you'll do that a lot less. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is we can always try to rehearse transferring that response or transferring the emotion. All right. So most things that you get really pissed off about are actually hilarious. All right. So when you think about it, there's a lot of things that piss you off throughout the day that you can laugh at. All right. That is actually kind of humorous. If you look at it in a different way, it's funny, And so road rage to me, when people get all bent out of shape or when people drive like an idiot or whatever, it's I'm just looking at them like you're an idiot. You know what I mean? Pretty much. And I don't really take it seriously. If anything, I mean, unless they almost kill somebody, I just look at it like, hey, look at this douchebag. You know what I mean? Or yeah, that's cool. Don't use your turn signal, whatever. You know what I mean? And it just kind of, it's funny to me. It doesn't affect me. Now, Jerry had asked when he had the person who said you should do this topic. It's what about other people having road rage against you? Okay. So people are road raging against you, and then you respond with anger and rage back. Right. Well, ask yourself, first of all, why that might be a response. And then ask yourself, how lethal are you as a person? So your level of lethality as a man is directly correlated to how calm you can be in these experiences where there's a threat. Okay. So if you know that you're a lethal person, and I don't mean that you're out there committing violence, against the law and doing stuff like that, but you know that you're competent in defending yourself or having to do violence, if violence is called for, then when there's a threat, you're less fearful. Okay. So you can respond to that threat in a less fearful manner, a little bit more outcome independence. Anger, a lot of times when somebody else is behaving in a threatening manner, why is that something that's upsetting you? Why is that making you angry? There's no injustice really most of the time. Someone acting threatening isn't necessarily by itself an injustice. Now, doing something threatening would be, of course, right? But acting like and being in a state and saying things, whatever, that is indicating this person might be a threat to me, that in of itself is an injustice for justifiable anger. Most of the time, the anger towards that is because it's a fearful response, it's a threat response. You perceive this person as a threat, and so you're going to respond with anger because that's actually going to maybe hopefully quell or stop that threat, right? Is your angry response. At least that's what your primal brain is doing. And that's what really we call posturing. It's not actually a fight response. A fight response is take the dude out. Okay. That's not a lot of emotion involved in a fight response. There's a lot of action, not a lot of emotion. A lot of emotion involved in a posturing response. All right. I can refer you to a PhD in Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman on killing, on combat, where he's done some research and studies on responses to combat and combat stress and the threats. Okay. So, yeah, when you're having that angry and being overtly threatening, he's yelling at you, you're yelling out your window, you're throwing up your middle finger, he's doing the same thing. All that stuff's happening. You're actually not responding in a fight. A fight would be for you to steer your vehicle and the other person's vehicle to get them off the road, then beat the shit out of them. All right. That would be the fight response. Now, there's a lot of action in that, more action and aggressiveness versus anger and frustration. All right. So your response when you're doing all this other stuff, you're actually posturing. Okay. This is like gorillas beating their chest. All right. It's basically saying to this other thing, hey, you're trying to be a threat to me. Well, guess what? If you get any closer, try to do anything else, I'll be a threat to you. And that's what that response is. I'm not going to say it's not useful to some degree to aggression, and demonstration of aggression in certain circumstances can, quell the possibility of a threat sometimes if it's calibrated right. But ask yourself, though, in a road rage scenario, how useful really is it? If something does escalate to violence, you're going to be what's called a mutual combatant. And in just about every law in every country, they're going to see you as a mutual participant in that fight, not as someone who's defending themselves, and you'll end up charged accordingly. All right. You won't be able to claim self-defense if you're posturing. All right. If you're getting angry, yelling back, doing all that stuff, that's not how that'll work for you. Won't work in your favor. So as a strategy, it's not good, right? The other side of it is, well, you're responding that way because you perceive this person as a threat, which means something inside of you is actually fearful of this person. Even if it's a weak person, right? Even if it's somebody you could beat up or something like that. That's not even the point. Is there something inside of you that feels that threat because there is a fear, there's a weakness. And so being more lethal, knowing that you can be lethal, knowing that you can be a threat to other potential threats if that happens. Again, that doesn't mean you have to be able to beat up everybody, okay? That just means that that if you were under threat of physical violence and you had to defend yourself, you would cause that other person a problem. Doesn't matter how big they are, doesn't matter their level of skill, doesn't matter even the numbers, If I'm faced with multiple numbers of people, chances that are my size or, have some training under them, chances are I'm going to succumb to that fight unless I get real clever, right? But I know that maybe I'm going to take one or two out, though, before that happens, in which case I now become a threat to them, too, because which one or two is it? So they're all going to think twice. And so having that internal posture of knowing how lethal you are and knowing that you can handle yourself is critical in these circumstances, because it actually helps you have less of a posturing or threatened response. So when that person is road raging and yelling at you, you can just kind of like smile, shrug your shoulders, don't respond, roll your eyes, whatever. It's comical. It's comical to me because I'm thinking like, this guy who's losing his mind and letting his day get ruined because he perceives I did something on the road or whatever, he's looking like a huge douche, right? And that just is pretty comical how serious people can get over nothing. But to add to that, though, I mean, what is this guy really a threat to me? Like, is he going to be yelling and screaming and throwing up his middle finger so much if we pull over? There's been plenty of times and situations where someone was behaving like they were, pretty much a badass and like they were a threat. And then, okay, now they're in front of me and it's, hey, I'm here now. So is that exactly how you want to handle this problem, guy? And of course they sober right up, right, from that posturing behavior. So I know that that's how those things will go. I've seen it a million times and experienced it a lot, right? So why am I going to get upset over it? So transfer those feelings or thoughts. That's the actionable advice here, is work on rehearsing not being upset about these things and actually seeing the humor in them. All right. Things that would make you angry or frustrated or cause that response. Work on seeing how actually funny people's behavior can be. Humor and anger usually don't exist in the same, you can't be in a humorous laughing state and be angry at the same time. It's kind of hard to hold those two emotions together. So to quell that anger so you're not responding irrationally, think about humor. And this isn't just like, this is a pretty important trait to have. In fact, the RASP program for long range surveillance companies back when I was, before they were disbanded, and that was the newer version of LRP, or long range reconnaissance patrols. RASP stands for Ranger Assessment Selection Program. So we're putting soldiers through a selection process to get into the LRS unit because there are high demands for that kind of a unit. And putting soldiers through that process, we looked for a sense of humor as being one of the traits that they would have. Well, why would that be a trait that we would select for? Because if a guy has a sense of humor, that indicates that he's emotionally and mentally stable. It indicates that he's not fearful and having a fear response, and indicates an ability to take things that are happening that could be fearful or cause anger or cause a distressing response that might cause him to overreact, right, in combat. Instead of overreacting in a combat scenario, he can act in a calm, cool, and collected way. And having a sense of humor, even under fire, which is can actually be pretty valuable. So, work on your lethality and knowing your sense of power that you have as a man. Work on being less distressed generally throughout the day so you don't have that response. And work on seeing things from a different perspective, meaning seeing the humor in some of these things versus allowing, yourself to get angry and frustrated and upset over these perceived injustices. Okay. Because a lot of these things don't matter at the end of the day, these things that you see as injustices. Now, there's other things like if you have an anger problem that just doing these simple steps won't fix. In consultations and in sessions, we can do meditation work, possibly some mental fitness or EMDR, NLP work, or hypnotherapy to get rid of some of this long-standing anger that you've been doing. And if you've been an angry person, that means you've gotten a lot of repetitions, right? So you've habituated anger. So it's going to take some time to habituate a different way of being or a different state. So you're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to take the time. And if you're going to do something like with me or on your own to make yourself to do that mental and brain training, to habituate different behaviors, that's going to speed up that process. Okay. And that's more or less guided meditation, hypnotherapy, things like that. You'll speed the process up of changing this behavior of responding just in an angry state all the time. You'll habituate something different. That makes any sense. All right. So there's the monologue on that. Yep. I saw somebody said jam the like. I agree. Jam the like button. All right. What time do I got here? Oof. Okay. So I'm running to the end. So I'm going to ask some answer questions from you guys. All right. So Sam asks, I'm sure I'm not low T, but anger has never been a problem for me, I think, because I felt and was taught that anger was always wrong. How can I exercise anger productively, and should I? Yeah, if you get angry, if there's an injustice, because it's justifiable anger, then what you do is you plot out an action plan and you execute that plan. That's how you can use anger productively. Something pisses you off because of due to injustice, meaning it's something that is justifiable, right? Well, let's figure out what we're going to do about that, or what we can do to change things or to make things better, different, and we execute that action plan. So use that anger and those feelings as motivation to execute an action plan that's going to make things better. For example, my doctor's office has horrible customer service, but amazing doctors, which is why I keep going there. And some lady was rude to me on the phone and screwing up my appointment and stuff. I got in the car, drove the 10 minutes over to the place, and went straight up to the front desk and said, "Hey, we have a problem here." And I was totally objective, fine. I wasn't all pissed and angry. I said, "Listen, here's what happened. That's not really okay. It's not acceptable. I mean, we need to have a better way of handling, patients here." And I was talking to a supervisor. I have good rapport with the doctors there. They know me there, and they're like, "Yeah, you're right. Absolutely." And then they did some things to fix it. They treated me much better. That's an example. I instead of getting angry, pissed off, and yelling at everybody, and having the police called on me or something, I executed it by having an action plan that would solve the problem. So that's how you do it. Let's look at for more stuff. Rank and tag one of your videos. I gave it 5 stars. Informative. Maybe the shadow band is lifting. Yeah, dude, I'm getting through some more algorithms. I've cleaned up. All right, so I am cleaning up my language and cleaning up some of the ways I present this stuff. I was a lot more savage and a lot more offensive in my earlier videos, and that kind of handicapped me a bit. We're gonna work on. I have an assistant hired. I got websites up. It's not perfect. Send me an email though if you're gonna schedule something. So I got the website is apexmindset.net. Okay, just went up this weekend. That's APEX mindset.net. In the bottom of there's my email address too. That'll go to my assistant Brittany and myself. If you want to book a session, just send an email directly right now. Okay, I have to work the calendar out in the apps out a little bit still. There's some bugs there. I don't want to get double booked or anything, or end up screwing up your time slot. So you'll have to do that. But other than that, I got a blog post up there that's pretty interesting. You might want to check it out, and I have that up. I haven't done anything with the email list yet, but there'll be more things with that. And my point is, though, we're going to get into very soon a course and a community. When we have a community, that means I can put content out in the community that's a lot more offensive, and that would be fine. Okay. I don't care then about algorithms in the community, but I have to behave myself here on YouTube. I have been behaving myself more. There's still a degree of restrictions I will always have, just because of what I'm talking about, the nature of the topics, and I won't sacrifice quality of content for censorship. However, I can tailor the message a little bit different so it doesn't trigger the algorithms in a negative way. So I've been playing with that as I've gotten better, and I've been showing up a little bit more, but still got to pay attention too. Sometimes some of you guys will hit the like and notification bell, and then it'll unsubscribe you. Some of you guys have had your comments deleted. I don't delete comments. So if you have had it deleted, it's not me, it's YouTube. So just be aware of that stuff and help me fight through it. Okay. Cool. This guy's name is hilarious. Chad Thundercock Jock Biz Shiz. All right. You Apex Mindset, aka the number one. You led my pack of Cooperstone, Rollo, Alpha Mindset, Kevin Samuels, Afi Francis, How to Beast, John Anthony, Tate Speech. You sir are the most authentic, 100%. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. That's the thing, man. Like, this thing is gonna get a lot bigger, and so you guys who are listening to me and all that stuff, it's pretty cool. You're gonna going to watch this platform and the things that I'm doing grow, which is kind of fun. But yeah, that might make me a little bit more unaccessible. Like right now, I do respond to comments and stuff, and it's gonna get to a point. If I have couple 100,000 subscribers versus 9 or 10,000. I'm not going to be able to respond to everything, right? But I don't ever want to lose that authenticity. Okay, that's a big thing. There's so many people that are trying to build a brand, and they stay on this brand, and they don't, their branding and who they are as a person gets mixed together, and you never get to like see who the real person is. And then we have outright grifters who are they're just lying. You know, they're out there putting out disinformation and making things up and inflating information. You have people out there who are attacking others. Okay, for that kind of, they're attacking others for being frauds when they're frauds themselves. We have that going on. It's all a bunch of bullshit. None of it helps you. And so I'm not interested in any of that. I'm just interested in helping you. That's it. And want to stay on message. And I got into this to help people with this information, guys who in some cases are really suffering when it comes to their mental health and fitness, and when it comes to their relationships, right? And how they're interacting with women in the world. Guys who are suffering bad, like suicide level kind of suffering. So those are the things that, you know, I want to focus on. Those are the things that I'm aimed towards helping people fix. Anything that is off that message, too far, other than maybe some humorous things every now and then, I'm just not interested in it. So you always get that authenticity from me. That's the hope anyway, right? I mean, I'll never lose it. So I appreciate that compliment though. That's good. So I don't got any questions, and I'm out of time because I got to run and go do consultation I have at 12:15. But thanks again, guys, for the support. Thanks for listening. Yeah, throw a like on the video when you get that chance. Share it with your friends. Someone's asking, best time to meditate right after a workout. Well, it's just going to depend actually on your meditation goals. But it's always good to start the day getting in the right mind state. So if you're doing a peak state meditation where you clear your head, get rid of the negative stuff, and then put yourself in a optimal, you know, peak state where you're right there. That's a good time to do that, is to start your day with that. But there's different reasons depending on why we're meditating, what the goal is, as to what's better for different times of day. After a workout's good for different reasons. But anyway, getting into it, getting out of it actually, because I got to go run to my consult. So again, apexmindset.net. But for now, if you want to book a consult, hit the email. Okay. And I'll put in when I get around to it, I'll put in the description of this video, the new website, but I'll have the email address too. So just email me directly, apxmindset@gmail.com, to book a consult, because I've had a couple guys go into the website already and my calendar is not synced yet with my Google Calendar. And there's stuff I need to work on bugs wise, but there is a nice blog post there that's, you know, about a 4-minute read. And I think you guys might find that useful, interesting. So if you want to take a look at that, if you have 5 minutes today, go ahead and jump over at apexmindset.net. By the end of the week, or even not even that, I mean, hopefully within the next 24 hours or so, I'll have my calendar situated on the website, and then you guys can just book directly from there, and it's like no issues, right? But it's building, man. That's it. We're building it up because I want a community for you guys. I want some other ways for you guys to access information that's not as costly as a consultation. Not all those problems. I mean, the quickest, most direct route is to address a problem or goal directly with me in a consult, but you guys can do work on your own too to be able to do that. So I'm trying to give you those avenues as well. Let's see. All right. I can't, that's all I got, man. Shit. That's all I got. Hi, Conk. Conk did it, and I did a religious episode on religion and some of these concepts. It was pretty good. You guys might want to check that out. We're going to do another one, I think, in a month, if you're cool with that, bro. People seem to really like it. We didn't get very many people log on when we were live, but we've had a lot of people watch it afterwards and gave it some good responses. Let's see. Sweet. Thanks again for the compliments, guys, in the chat. All right. So I was going to say something else. Oh, yeah. This is going to be a light week for me here. Friday, I won't be able to be live because usually I'm doing game Fridays at noon, but I'm going to have to post it. All right, I'm going to do a video and post. I'm going to break down someone's text exchange they had with a chick. It's a pretty good one. The reason I can't be, I'm going to be doing military stuff I'm going to be at a range shooting for like 5 days. And so my schedule will be a little light. I'll have some more content for you this week though. And I won't be on Rule Zero or or the podcast on Sunday, but it's all right. I'll be back at it Monday for next week or for that. But the rest of the stuff, there's still content that'll be coming on YouTube, so stay tuned. What I know a lot of you guys are looking for, you guys like that. Some of you guys really like that Game Fridays thing I just started. So yeah, but I won't be able to be live for it this week, so we'll have to do it next week. Please answer my question. What's your question? Did you put a question mark? Some of you guys suck at punctuation and spelling. Type it again, real. Type it again, and I'll try to answer before I go, or I'll try to find it because I'm looking at a mess of chat here. This guy wants me to answer his question, but I don't know what it is. Scroll up. Bro, I got... I don't see your shit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So copy and paste it real quick or hit it again so it'll come down in the chat and I can answer it. This is why I need super chat status, because then it's not so much the money, it's so I can find the fucking shit. People are laughing at this guy. It's like, yeah, I actually, oh, here it is. Oh, fuck. Okay, I got you. I scrolled up too far. Hi there. I'm going to be 24 in 2 months. Cool. 5'10", skinny AF as F. Low wage IT engineer. What should my goals be for the next 5 years? Run after women or build my body or build my career? I'm too confused. Okay, well, you're too confused because you're an engineer. You guys are so damn smart, and sometimes the way your minds work, it's hard to think about these things in this way, and that's okay. I love my engineer friends, and I have a lot of them, so that's how I know this stuff. And guys like you coming to me in consults all the time. Look, all right, this is not a linear thinking thing. You're going to work on all of it, okay? At 24, probably work on your career the most, but you need to work on your body too. You got to do all of it. It's just a matter of compartmentalizing your time so you spend some time on it. You should be most heavily working on your career and your self, your physical health and strength. All right. You don't need to be 8 hours in the gym, every single day. So you can be on a workout program and a diet program and how you're eating and fit that in with a very heavy work schedule and school schedule to get yourself ahead. You don't need to spend countless hours in the gym to gain size. Most of what you're going to do to build your physique is going to happen with your diet and happen with your sleep. Okay. So it's your rest. At rest is how you build muscle. So you need to focus on that. Of course, you're going to get to the gym, but on a 3-day-a-week workout program, you can gain a ton of size. You really can. So if you need, go look up Stan Efferding as a bodybuilder, or hit me up for a consult if you want some personal attention on this. But you don't need to do that. You can really hit up, look at Stan Efferding has some good stuff with his vertical diet program. He has laid out in the vertical diet. It's like $100 for his vertical diet. Okay. But in there is workout programs. Okay. That dude is simplified the process for you. So you can do all the physical stuff, how you present and dress, like in bathrobes that are hot looking like this right here. Of course, I'm kidding about that. But how you present and dress and look, your SMV, these are just things you work on a little bit each day. Get a good haircut, figure out what you have to wear clothes, right? So do a little effort and research into what clothes are going to present you and your body and your style the best. So these are just things you do. And then, most of your focus should be on your career and making money, of course. Now, women, focus on getting women too, but not so much so that you're sacrificing your career and your workout program, right? You need to solve your reproductive problem, dude, or at least start learning how to solve that, because that is what's required for you as a man to be mentally and emotionally stable. I know that sounds crazy and contrary to a lot of the philosophies that are out there, but it's just a truism in terms of how we're genetically wired. Sexual selection is a more powerful drive than even our survival instinct. All right. This is why peacocks have the feathers that they have, right? This is why men are willing to sacrifice their lives or put themselves on the line in order to get laid. Okay, all the time. The reason why is because our need to procreate or reproduce, or our innate drive to do that, is one of our most powerful drives. So if you don't have a means of solving that drive, or at least working towards that, it's going to affect your level of stability and motivation to do those other things. All right. Having women in your life, at least knowing you can get them and getting dates and all that kind of stuff, actually becomes a motivator to do other things in life in an excellent manner and to achieve that excellence. It's not about focusing on one thing over another. It's about getting better at all of it. And just knowing which one to put most, of course, your time and your focus into. So no, you don't want to put all your focus on getting the girls. Of course not. But should you be dating? Should you be talking and learning how to interact with women? Should you be learning that communication and those skills that allow you to have women in your life to get that reproductive problem solved? 100%. You know, one mistake, and I've seen guys do, is they literally become practically voluntary celibates, almost like MGTOW type thing, but where they're not doing anything with women until they get their money together, and then they turn around in their mid-30s going, okay, I want women now, what do I do? Okay, dude, like you missed an entire, decade of getting laid and learning about how to communicate with women, learning how to seduce women. You missed a whole decade of that. So you're now what's available to you is women who want you for beta bucks, okay? Or we end up having to really expedite a lot of work and focus on a lot of things. Your focus ends up having to be out of control on women then if you want to actually get better. So if you want the things in life, dude, you got to go for it. And yeah, man, you're just gonna you're gonna chip at it a little bit every single day, every single week. Just chip at each one at a time. It's not this binary thinking, one or the other. You're not going to sit down and come up with the perfect formula of how to do this. You just make these improvements every little bit each day. And then next thing you know, you're where you want to be, man. That's how it goes. All right. So I'm already late. That happens to me all the time. Anyway. Cool. So I got to bounce though. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Hopefully I answered your question, man. And thanks again for tuning in. Until next time.